Right, Luke. So exciting duel, of course. But
Yeah.
3 of them. We got 3 of them for
That
the
was
price
swift.
of 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a quick 3 games, in fact. But all of them showed us a different side of these 2 decks of both the Cosmo and as well as, of course, the Metal Foes, the new archetype.
Yeah, so...
Yeah, after this match, pretty early to tell, I guess, but what would you prefer if you were coming to the table? Would you prefer the Metal Foes with Yang Xing, or would you play the straight Metal Foes? It's not quite straight, but it's more closer to the just the core of the deck.
Yeah, I mean, like, this is closer to the version that I actually played when I tried out the deck. There's a lot of tech cards in here that I didn't really try out, so yeah. But I think it's kind of there's a way of thinking in Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck building where you can think to yourself, okay, I'm going to provide myself with the opportunity to draw the absolute insane hand every single game and just win the tournament that way.
Okay.
And I think this is the kind of deck that I see that kind of thinking with.
It must be very popular with the guys that are playing the lottery as well.
Yeah.
Every week this week I'm going to bring the perfect numbers, and then
yeah, exactly. So it's that kind of, that's the way that I see this deck. It's kind of, I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to produce some crazy boards and just win that way.
You're basically also saying it's not that consistent, or am I getting you wrong?
No, I think it's reasonably consistent because of the fact you're playing full 12 Metal Foes cards. So kind of those, as well as really any of the other kind of bits of the engine.
Yeah, they are all
good
for the most part. They're like searching and replacing itself and things like that.
Yeah, so that like part of the engine is consistent, but like if you open everything that isn't the Metal Foes bit,
Pot of Desires.
Yeah, or if you play Pot of Desires and banish like all of your cliff art part of the engine, you banish Luster, you banish your Avians,
or something like that. It doesn't need to be all of them, but even if it's just some of them, can of course make a big difference.
Yeah, then you don't really have those big power plays. You've got to rely on just the Metal Foes cards.
All right, but interesting take, of course.
Yeah, I prefer this one over the Yang.
It seems like a very techy deck and like a lot harder to make out for the opponent, I would say.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of the kind of deck that Merlin brought to the table in the past as well. He's kind of known for things like that, playing something crazy.
Well, the last time I saw Merlin was at the UK National Championships. He brought an anti-meta deck.
He played with a Germany jersey, right? That's what some friends told me. That he's
I can't remember.
Basically going to the UK and representing Germany with a Germany jersey just to rub it in.
Okay.
That's the kind of guy he is.
Yeah, but
very popular guy.
That deck was actually quite good. It was really old school. I felt like I was teleported back to 2004.
Not that surprising though. What do you think about Kaiku in the side deck?
Yeah, I like Kaiku is really a great answer for when you've got a pendulum deck. It's the same as Lorenzo was speaking about earlier. When you've got a pendulum deck, that it's obviously for Monarchs. If you're going to pendulum summon, it's a nice just add-on to a pendulum summon. It's the same as Apex Avian. The way that I see Apex Avian, like I'm going to do all this combo stuff. Oh, and by the way, I've got this thing. So
it can be a big comeback.
Stop.
It's almost like a Raigeki in some instances.
Yeah, kind of in that fashion that it's kind of like an add-on to. It's not by itself anything concrete, but it really adds a bunch to something.
Yeah.
So whenever you're doing a big pendulum summon, obviously you can't like Apex Avian is one of those cards that you can just put on the board and be like, you got anything? But
it's similar to a Kirin, basically.
Yeah, similar to Kirin. Is that kind of. So that's the thing. That's where this deck is. All of the pendulum decks are kind of heading. It's that. Here's a bunch of monsters that cause a bunch of problems for you.
Yeah,
that's basically it.
All right. What about Jake's take on the Cosmo archetype? I mean,
he picked a version that was reasonably consistent, and I think the only problem that he had was that Merlin just had.
Probably not his favorite matchup.
A much higher ceiling to his deck. I think that was the only problem.
Would you have brought Cosmo to the table or Cosmo Fire King?
I was never a huge fan of the Fire King Cosmo. I liked the fact that it had a massive ceiling. Like you could do some really crazy stuff with Fire King Cosmo.
It's not known to be the most consistent deck.
No, but exactly, it wasn't known to be the most consistent. And then the Cards of Demise Cosmo came out. I was a much bigger fan of that one because I like trap cards. I'm that guy. I love trap cards. So you know, I loved the hat format where you could just, you know, here's Traptrix Mermelio, here's my 5 back row, and then I've got tons of options to be able to deal with whatever you do.
Yeah.
I like that kind of.
And the best part
deck.
about it is that your opponent knows half of these options. So
Yeah.
so they are staring down some face down cards. They're like, oh, I know what's waiting for me.
I just can't do this.
Yeah. What am I going to do?
Yeah, which is kind of what happened in that last game actually, because you know, it wasn't like Merlin was hiding the Infinity; it was sat there staring at Jake.
The first card that he played, in fact, was the solemn warning.
Yeah. So as soon as that happened,
that was
Jake
the face down
kind of
card.
Knew, I think,
what he was up against.
Yeah,
exactly.
Jake's a clever duelist. He knows as soon as that happened, he probably thought to himself, okay, I'm going to have to naturally draw into something that's going to solve that Infinity.
Yeah. Or alternative thinking in that moment is, of course, I'm trying to make the best face of myself, put the best face on for the stream, so the people are not going to be like, oh my god, he's so salty.
Yeah, exactly.
He did definitely see the writing on the wall in that situation.
Yeah, but it's interesting. Triple Cosmic Mojo.
So he can still go far, of course. 2-1 is not the end for him. And like we said, he's a very experienced duelist.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, of course, for running us through it again.
Yeah.
Let's see if we can get a hold of Merlin and talk to him about his choices. And maybe he can give us some more insights. Why he's also playing Kaiku, for example. Why Kaiku and Chaugan, cards like that, made it into the side deck. Why they are a great choice for this weekend. So don't go anywhere, guys. We're going to be right back.
Hello guys, welcome back to YCS Rimini 2016. I'm here with Merlin. Hey Merlin.
Hey there, how are you?
Nice to see you again. And we're here to talk about Merlin's deck that we just saw him win in the feature match with, which is Metal Foes deck.
Yes.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about it. I played Metal Foes, but not with any of these crazy tech cards that you've got going on. So tell us a little bit about it.
Well, I came up with the deck with my teammate Sonar and Dominic, and we put in quite a bit of testing, and especially them. I was bit busy with out of Yu-Gi-Oh activities lately, but they did quite a good deal of testing, and we came up with this version, and then I just did what I always do. I put in my special Merlin tech, because I always have to tech up my decks. That's like my thing. I've done it ever since I started playing competitively.
What's the special Merlin tech here?
Well, it's the emptiness basically in the main deck,
okay.
and then a couple cards in the side deck.
Yeah.
Mainly the Kaiku and the Jogan. Jogan, just exactly the same as my all-time favorite monster, Fossil Dynapachi's Fellow, but it also has an additional effect that's really good right now.
Yeah. So you're talking about the random discard.
Yep.
Yeah. So talk us through Kaiku. So we were talking about it just now. You probably overheard me talking about it. Is that what it's for? It's for Monarchs?
Yeah, it's basically for Monarchs, because Monarchs lose the access to all the graveyard resources. But it's also good in the Cosmo matchup if you go second, because like if you go second, you can also like make their big ships not be able to special summon anything. And yeah, basically that's what it does. But it's mainly against Monarchs, because Monarchs, if they don't have access to their graveyard resources, they just do run out of steam really quick.
Yeah, it's not very consistent, is it? If you like, Monarchs loses a bunch of consistency when they don't get those, and if you can't play Prime Monarch either, then
exactly, they lose their tribute fodder and their surges. So
you just can't go really anywhere. So why did you decide to go with? So you know, you built this deck with your friends. it seems like you've just kind of chose a bunch of different engines, bunch of different pendulum engines, and mashed them all together, and it kind of works. I feel like I should have seen you summon Zolkin at some point during the match, but we didn't see it at all.
Well, really, to make Zolkin, I need to hard draw the Gofu, because Gofu is like the only legit way that actually works to make a Zolkin. And I didn't draw it. The match was really short and all together. Like game 1, I won with the emptiness. Game 2, he won with the spell fragrance. And game 3, I just started the nuts, and he didn't get to play. But in neither of the games, I drew the Gofu, and without Gofu, the Zolkin doesn't come out usually. And that way, if you don't hard draw the Gofu first turn, it's very unlikely to make Zolkin. But then again, if you make it, it's amazing, because it makes Crystal Wing Dragon, which is an absolute boss, or can bring out any kind of removal. So
yeah, exactly.
I really like it.
Stuff like Ignista, Michael, Void Ogre, lots of different things.
Yep.
Yeah. So Pot of Desires, a lot of people have been talking about that. Why did you choose to play it in your deck, especially when you've got like one-offs like Scout and Monolith and those kinds of small engines?
Because after testing, we found out that the advantage of getting an extra card and starting with 6, if you started, is way bigger than the disadvantage and the probability of banishing like all the important cards of a kind. Because even if you banish Clifford, Scout, or Monolith, you're not actually relying on the engine that much. It's like if you have it, you can make it an affinity. It's a good like a gimmick. But if you don't have it, it doesn't really matter or influence the flow of your deck. So you have a bunch of those engines that you can play, and you don't really mind if you lose them, because you still have a bunch of others you have access to. So Pot does not really do anything bad to you unless you banish like 3 of the same kind, which we all know is a 0.8% chance. Shout out to Themis, that's an insider. But actually Pot just gives you a lot higher probability to start with a nuts board, like I did in game 3, even without Pot. But even then, I needed the extra draw from that Metal Foe Fusion. And I gotta admit, I was missing the 8 scale, and if I hadn't drawn one of the 9 8 scales in the deck, I would have not been able to put out anywhere close to that board.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've got all of my Pot of Desires statistics as well for the like. A lot of people are looking at it as, oh, it's 10 of my cards, but if you the likelihood of you banishing like all 3 of a card if you didn't naturally draw it is so little.
Exactly.
I think it is something like 1.8% chance if you start and if it's the first thing you do in your opening hand, you have a 1.8% chance to banish all 3 copies from your deck. And it's
0.8.
0.8. Okay, well,
that's not an actual number, but it's like somebody claimed it, and we just make fun of him for it.
Right. Okay. Well, the actual percentage is 1.8.
Yeah, it is.
And if you're playing 2 of a card, then it's 2.7%.
Yep.
So it's really low. It's not like we're talking like 30%, 40%. It's next to nothing.
Yep.
If it's the first thing you do, obviously you do a lot of things like searching for Scout.
And even then, you don't even auto-lose. Like even if you banish like 3 of the same Metal Foes or all 3
because
Kirin, you still have a bunch of other engines. Like obviously it's bad for you, but you still can win the game, and it still gives you a lot more opportunities. Like it basically evens out the disadvantage of going first because you start with 5 instead of 6.
Yeah.
But it evens out that, and then you have the big advantage of going first and being able to set up your board without your opponent having any trap cards to prevent that.
Yeah, exactly. What's the craziest board you've done with this deck?
I've started with Mist Valley Apex Avian, Kirin, Infinity, Emptiness set, and the Ultimate Zolkin making start of Spark Dragon once, which is like literally the nuts. Which I can't really come up with a lot of combinations of cards that are actually being played at the moment that can break that board.
Yeah, I like how you said actually. I like how you said actually being played, because my immediate response to this whole break my board is Sphere Mode.
Yeah, I know.
But yeah,
I saw that coming. I know you, Luke.
no one plays that, right? You know. Best you're gonna see is probably a kaiju monster, and you can't like even if they give you a kaiju monster, you have so much more that you can continue playing with. So,
but even then, if it's game 2 or 3, I would probably flip the emptiness and draw phase to avoid the kaiju.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I have a Spark Dragon with it.
Yeah, exactly. Why would you not? Exactly. So even kaiju's, Sphere Mode is not even possible in there.
Exactly.
It's just so good. Right. Well, good to see you doing well this tournament. Hopefully, we'll see you continue to do well with this really kind of innovative new Metal Foes deck.
I would really like to do so as well, and I would like to shout out to my team and to a couple of friends from Newcastle and all over the world, and special shout out to Sonar and Dominic.
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you very much. Good luck for the rest of the tournament, and we'll be back very soon with a live coverage of YCS Rimini 2016.
Thank you very much. Bye.